blessings. Yeah, so we're gonna go in. All right. So why am I doing this particular subject right here? The reason is because for the last couple years, there have been a number of movements out here recently that have kind of challenged the foundation of African identity. Yeah, kind of challenged the foundation of African identity. And so now some of these things are basically, well, I'd say it started a few years ago with this anti-Hotep vibration that kind of started kicking up, say about 4 or 5 years ago. Yeah. And ever since then, there's been a rise in, like, you know, I'd say in chronological order, I'd say the Black Hebrews, which they've been there for a long time still, but there's a particular, and I want to make this clear, where the Black Hebrews are concerned, Hebrew Israelites, not all of them are in the category that I'm about to mention. Yeah, big up to Abba Ben Ami, you know what I'm saying, who departed us a few years ago. But you know, the African Hebrew Israelites would not qualify for what it is I'm about to say. But there are many groups, yeah, that consider themselves Black Hebrews that are very hostile towards Africa, African identity, and things African. Yeah. And then following that, now you had this whole pop up in the last year or two of the Aborigine movement. Yeah. And basically these are Black people around the Americas, because at one point I thought this was just the United States of America. I was wrong. Yeah, I learned that this was going well beyond that. Yeah, so and it's in the Caribbean as well, but they don't believe that we are African, that we come from the African continent, and these things. Yeah. And then recently, yeah, sorry, these people believe that we are the indigenous people of the Americas, and in interacting with some of them, I came to observe that it wasn't just that they thought that we were this like original to the Americas. Yeah. All of us, you know what I'm saying, like, well, it's original to the Americas. There's again another particular kind of hostility towards Africa and a rejection of African identity, yeah, that I found you know, proliferated through what, you know, their whole philosophy, their whole ideology. Do you know what I'm saying? So yeah, that I found particularly interesting. Then in the last year or two also, it's been the African descendants of slaves, African descendants of slavery. And again, this whole narrative that rejects African identity, whilst acknowledging that we have an ancestral connection to Africa, but for some reason, the idea that we have an African identity is abhorrent to these people for some, you know, whatever reason. And in that respect, there is a narrative that begins with the idea that our brothers and sisters on the continent sold us into slavery, that is designed to sever us from experiencing and being allegiant to an African identity. Yeah. So, you know, going through, seeing all these dynamics, and I'm thinking, but the commonality between all of these things is a rejection of African identity, yeah? And coming with this narrative is, oh, I forgot to say, Kings and Queens, do like up the video, you know what I'm saying? You know, do want to call house cleaning and everything there. Do like up the video, share the link and all these things, and I mean, share it far and wide. Yeah, you know, I didn't even promote this one as much as I promote my other ones, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, share out the link, family, share out the link, you know what I'm saying? Big up to my people in the chat. Big up to I Love Soil, Do You? Big up to Sister Yemaya, you done know, sis. Blessings, good to see you. Kaz Rudy is in the house. Kojo, the African, bless up, my brother. I'm gonna read your comment in a bit, yeah. I'm gonna read your comment in a bit. All right. And I believe Sister Melanated and Belize Bang is also in the house. All right. Yes, family, share up the thing and like up the video as well. Make sure we can spread this African energy all about the place, all through the land of YouTube and the World Wide Web. Yeah. So what was particularly apparent to me when I look at all of these things that I've just mentioned is that the actual rejection of African identity was not necessary. Yeah. It didn't bear any relevance to whatever identity that they were trying to assert. Yeah. except for the fact that they would be challenged by people who would say that they're African. And then they could just have a conversation about whether or not they're African. But there's a particular kind of hostility, yeah, to the African identity that, to me, is coming from somewhere else, yeah. You have narratives associated with this then that try to paint those who affirm an African identity as living in some kind of utopia, harping on about outdated political ideologies, not having a political ideology and being engaged in kind of self-aggrandizement, feel-good cultural nationalism and these kinds of things, yeah? So just meditating on this, yeah, I figured, well, what's wrong with being African? And so I figured to just do a little session on this whole concept of an African identity and where it comes from, and the purpose it has served, yeah, in Black, you know, culture, Black politics, Black economics, for the last few hundred years. Where does it come from? Yeah, because one of the things that is also apparent within all of these narratives is that they never give a proper appraisal of this. Yeah, they never give a proper appraisal of this. You hear statements like, well, the white man named us African. And these, which is not true, this I was saying. So, and then all of this effectively is designed to delegitimize the idea, the mission, the goal, the ideology of Pan-Africanism, because Pan-Africanism asserts a oneness of identity among African people across the diaspora. Pan-Africanism asserts a cultural unity, yeah, of African people across the diaspora. Okay, and so we're gonna go into this a bit right about now, and yeah, so I'm gonna share my screen, and hopefully everyone can see it. So when I share my screen, family, I'd like for you to just do me a favor and let me know that you can see it. Yeah, hit the 9 button when I share my screen, and just let me know so you can see when I try to show you. All right, we're gonna go in right about now. So right, let's get this, set up this thing nice and easy. Once